Hey y'all, it has been a minute. Hunting season is over as far as like deer hunting season in Virginia, and I kind of wanted to recap my hunting journey as a beginner and some things that I learned. Let's get into it. So the number one thing that I learned more than anything was patience. And personally, I would not say patience is one of my strong suits. So patience, I mean, with bow hunting in general, increasing your draw weight, just the patience of being able to focus and get good at shooting the bow, and then, you know, going out there and having to wait so long. I mean, you know, I'm sitting in a blind, so I'm literally waiting for them to come to me. So just a lot of patience overall. The second thing I learned is to not compare my journey to anyone else's. That was probably one of the hardest things. A lot of people have been doing this a lot longer than me. So being a beginner, you're seeing all these people do all these great things, and you know, you're kind of looking at your journey like, well, dang, I'm behind, or I'm not doing as well. My journey is my own, and looking back, there was a reason why everything happened the way it did, because it taught me a lot about myself and about just hunting in general, and just respect for it all. So I'm glad, and don't compare your journey to anyone else's. The third thing that I learned was to have cold weather gear. I don't know like what my problem was, but anywhere I go ever, like, I never bring enough clothes. Like, check the weather, make sure you're dressed appropriately. I had these hot hands literally everywhere. These were like lifesaver. And I know I sound like a baby, but like, I don't handle cold that well. I just don't. So number 4, to kind of go along with cold gear, is just being prepared in general. There were a lot of things after my first hunt that I realized, or my first, like, where I actually harvested the deer, where I realized I needed more equipment. So I ended up getting this saw, this bone saw, that was, you know, would be very helpful if I would have ended up killing anything else. But originally I was using a really small one, so I ended up getting this, and like, this will be very helpful next time. And then extra gloves. The first time I was like just not prepared. Like, I had gloves somewhere, I couldn't find them, and I'm just like, you know, it was everywhere. So gloves, I had like a harness to carry the deer that I ended up getting after the fact, which was great. And then the bow sling. Carrying around my bow by hand was just like, you know, like tracking for 30-45 minutes, an hour, however long it was, and holding the bow, it was just like tiring. So getting the bow sling so that I could still carry it with me in case I needed it, and you know, it helped out a lot. Just kind of like, you may need different equipment than you thought. The fifth thing that I learned is that bow hunting is hard. It's very hard, but it is rewarding. You don't think about, like, when you're watching the videos on TV or when you're talking to other people, you're not thinking about how close they have to get to you. And even practicing in the backyard, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I mean, 30 yards is like, it seems kind of far away when you're practicing in the backyard. But then when you get out there, you're like, wow, okay, they're still at 50 yards. Like, they need to get a lot closer. And, you know, for how my bow was set up. So I'm just, you know, that's hard. Like, they have to get pretty close to you. Another thing is shooting the right deer. I did have on multiple occasions the chance to shoot, you know, really small deers, shooting spikes, you know, a lot of different opportunities like that I didn't take, because, you know, I want to shoot the right deer. The whole purpose and why I was hunting, outside of like the fact that I wanted to learn to be more self-sufficient, was to put food in my freezer. So I want to make sure that I am shooting the right deer and not just shooting one just to shoot it. So that was another thing, because, you know, you'll have like little baby deers that were like smaller than my dog walk right up to the blind, and I'm just like, okay, obviously I'm not going to shoot this deer, but it's just, that makes it more complicated, because you don't realize that it's not just going to be that easy. And the final thing that I'll say is one of my biggest takeaways, and this might actually be the biggest takeaway, is just how much I learned to respect where my food comes from and that whole process. Because when you go to the grocery store, you know, you don't think about that process and how that food got there to the grocery store and all the work that we put into the entire harvest, and just like the practice for 10 months, and then, you know, trying to find out where the best place to put the blind is and having to move it several times, or, you know, having to figure out, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be looking for when I'm hunting, or, you know, the right deer, or needing other equipment, just like, you know. And then the fact, once you kill the deer, then, you know, the whole process of gutting the deer and skinning the deer and then processing the deer, it's a learning experience, and it really makes you respect where your food comes from and just all the work that's put into it. You really respect it. So those are my biggest takeaways from my beginner hunting experience. If you are a beginner, or even if you're a long-time hunter, please comment and let me know kind of some of the things that you've learned and that you've taken with you on your journey. Can't wait to do this again, and who knows, maybe I'll go out and hunt some spring turkeys or something coming up soon. I actually do want to give that a try. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.